You don't realize that your volume is turned all the way to the max.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Hey, that's how you get into Monday really quick.
That's right. Let's do this.
Let's do this. How was your weekend?
My weekend was that of being not quite as healthy as one would love to be.
That
The
I understand quite well.
I think I must have been around some kids somewhere. I don't know.
They breed it. They really do.
No, actually, Peg had it earlier last week, and I think it finally took me down. So still coming through, but it's when you're sitting there and you're trying to do something, and your head's just draining, and it's like this ain't fun.
At some point you
when
give
your teeth, when your teeth hurt, it's like.
Like I said, I unfortunately understand completely.
Yeah, no, I mean, most parents do, especially moms. It's like all of a sudden kid comes home and goes, what? Ah! No, it's, but I wouldn't say I'm exactly 100% yet today, but I'm significantly better.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because we're going to start with a strategy.
Did you see? I mean, here's what's. Yeah, no, I want to do that. I mean, I'm excited to do that. But I think what's exciting is I looked. In fact, I haven't looked today, but I looked like Friday or maybe, like I say, I wasn't even online. But it seemed like there were a fair number of people that watched Double Funnel TV Friday episode.
So one of the differences between you taking over on Friday and me doing things Monday through Tuesday or Thursday is while you're talking, I'm sharing.
No, I know. That's awesome. 263 views. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, in like a day. So One of the things that I worked on both for Dagmar requested, one of our Business Growth Network members, as well as I wanted my own personal daily checklist of things to do for my own business and that I know everyone else needs to do. Yeah. And we're actually going to cover it at tomorrow's Tuesday meeting as well, is a list of Facebook business groups that you can go share your post to.
Nice.
So that you could literally just open up Business Growth Network and there's a list. You click on the links. They open in new windows. You copy paste, maybe freshen it up for each one, and it's done. And you've now shared it all over the place. And even if the groups, like I noticed when I was going through, several of the groups have terrible engagement. Like nobody is viewing posts.
Yeah.
But it is, at least the admin is going to see it. That's a good start.
Yeah, no. I think it's a great start. I think that there's a lot of that going on. I mean, I think people are told, here's what you do, put this stuff out there. But then they put it out there, but then they don't comment on comments and they don't thank people for engaging. And so I'm doing this event down in Houston this weekend. And I saw a post that somebody commented on that general post. And so it called my attention to that post this morning, and I went and I just said, so honored to be part of the presentation team for this weekend, excited about seeing everybody. And all of a sudden that caused, dink, 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 right? And it, not only to me, but then obviously who's all posted on there now sees that. Uh-huh. But that gets them to then refreshen and reinvigorate. And I would like to say that I do that all the time and I'm really good at it and whatever, but that would be not exactly the truth. I mean, I work to, I like to, I wish I had more time to, but that's the part that's really valuable is talking to people,
It is just commenting and responding to people. And again, it's about making sure that people can build a relationship with you and start a conversation. It's a human person and not a robot and
not a human person.
I know, right? A real live human being. Crazy
human
concept.
So
Human
what are you screenshotting these various groups?
Right now I'm screenshotting my speed test for my internet because I'm still pixeled and I've got outstanding internet. And so I was actually in the B-Livers group trying to ask for recommendations, and besides like, oh, hardwire your laptop, which was like, okay, well now I have to have AT&T come out here to hardwire the other plugins anyway. And then I have to hardwire a laptop that doesn't actually have a plugin, so now I've got to get an adapter. And meanwhile, I'm still getting great, reception or, wireless speed, and it's still pixeled. So I want to figure it out because I'd like to be as clear as all my guests.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was having some phone issues, and they just actually started fairly recently. And so my carrier must have changed something, just because I'm sitting in the exact same spot I always sit, my phone's in the exact same point. And all of a sudden my phone, I was getting drops and all sorts of stuff. And so I was just reading some stuff. Well, why don't you use Wi-Fi calling? I actually thought that would maybe harm me. Not harm me, but, be whatever. But my router is sitting a good 3 feet from my phone now. And
I think I'm not pixelized.
No, you are. A little bit.
I am.
Not as bad. But anyway, so it's amazing. This technology stuff it's a moving target.
And I always try to remind myself what's the capability, and am I really just getting frustrated at something that they're doing that's actually incredible? Like you and I are having a face-to-face conversation, even though we are miles away.
Yeah.
And we're doing it live, and we're able to broadcast it live to everyone else. So, but today I'm going to be building a customer value journey specifically for a coach.
Good.
I'm gonna wrap it around Dagmar.
Good.
One of our Business Growth Network members, thanks to you. And because I know she has a very specific thing, I know that a lot of people would like to do it, and her and I have actually covered a lot of ground. And one of the interesting things is she wants to keep it amazingly simple, right? She doesn't want to have to build a lot of pages, maintain a lot of things. She just wants people to pay her $200 to sit in a chair. Sounds about like every coach on the planet, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I want to fill a room with people who pay me money. Go figure.
It's a novel concept.
It's a novel concept.
We're all kind of after the same thing.
Amazing, isn't it? So over here is her very first core offer.
She's offering text? That's awesome.
Yeah, she's offering text. It is crazy text. There we go. Is that a little easier to see? So her first offer is her $200 for 4-hour workshop. I can't spell workshop.
You can, you just didn't.
Yeah. It's funny how that works out. There we go. Make it nice and easy on me.
So that is
where she'd like to go. Have you sat in it?
It's a great workshop.
Have you been in it?
Mm-hmm. Worth well more than that.
Her next one is she has $300 a month. Oops. Coaching program.
Again, well worth it.
Yeah, I just want it to be all in the same line. Is that too much to ask?
Possibly. Not if the form is wide enough, it's not. You're less pixelated, by the way.
Is it because I'm being really still?
Probably. Hey, maybe it's a camera thing.
Maybe I need to get like a fancy web camera. And then she has a $700 a month coaching program. I don't know that those would necessarily be the same person going to the larger programs, to me, that seems like a different type of person moving up.
No, actually, I've been through all of them. So it's a progression. It's a funnel. Not everybody who's in the workshop goes into coaching. Not everybody who's in coaching goes into the secondary coaching. So it's a more highly, you definitely, at one point you recognize that there's more potential. And then at the next point you recognize there's even more potential, but does everybody do that? No. So it is actually, in many cases, the same people come through the entire process. It could also be somebody who's come from or who has done study on their own. That is maybe a little, kind of made the determination they want the full-blown best thing that they can get to, go to that next level.
Okay.
So that is a possibility, that it's a totally fresh person into the funnel.
Okay.
But in many cases, it's somebody who's been driven through the funnel or has driven themselves through the funnel. Her work specifically isn't something that, you've got to have a desire to, become the best you can be. And, that becomes one of the kind of the qualifiers. Do you really want to get better? Are you not maximizing?
How do you qualify somebody who wants to get better?
Well, are you not maximizing your potential? Are you recognizing that you're not everything you could be? But you have to recognize. It can't be other people pointing to you. It's got to be a self-recognition that there's more, I think. It's, but that's why, again, there's a lot of different, it's kind of a secondary funnel. Some of the top end stuff might be more of a secondary funnel.
Well, it's not always going to be in the exact same funnel.
Right.
Definitely. When we're talking about ascension, like there can be a funnel, depending on how complicated your funnel is, right, or how simple it is, right, that its only job is to get you from an awareness ad to get your information, right? And there might be an upsell over here, or schedule a time with me, or some kind of entry point offer to convert them, but that might be the end of that particular funnel, right? And the next to get you into the workshop, because the workshop, that's a monthly thing. So every single time they're trying to drive you into a funnel that is specific for getting you into the workshop. Let's say you take the workshop, but you don't take her up in the coaching program. It might have its own funnel just to move you into the program.
Yes, no doubt about it. Yes, because her offering is tremendously unique. The chances are you're probably going to move through the personalized process. You're going to create that personalized relationship, and you're going to go that route, right? Do
you have a phone ringing?
I do. It's done.
Okay. I'm going nuts. I'm staring at my phone and it is not ringing.
Oh, you have sensitive ears today. It was actually just buzzing. It wasn't ringing. But yes.
It sounded like when it's ringing, when it's buzzing, that it's sitting on a table and it's making that vibrating noise.
Yes, that's what it was doing. That was my alarm. I'm supposed to be up right now. No, kidding. Anyway, I think that's what's interesting about this process as we build funnels, because while many are very similar and adaptable and whatever, some of them are, a little significant, a little different, significantly different, in that the entry point, the more specialized your teaching as a coach, the more specialized your funnels need to be. Sounds like I mean, as I heard myself say that, I said, God, that sounds simplistic, but it actually is kind of. But how many people really do that?
Well, explain yourself a little better for the crowd.
Well, so one of our funnels over the weekend, and I haven't sent them to you yet, but I keep on playing with these funnels. Actually, it was earlier.
You do.
Well, so I went city specific on the funnels. In other words, as opposed to an overall, in other words, in the attractor now, as opposed to simply travel or luxury or saving somewhere around the world, the entire funnel is predicated on spots within the city.
Okay.
So, is travel, right? I mean, saving is saving, but where do you want to do it? So one is attracting people to leave where they live. The other is actually encouraging them to experience where they live.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's too fresh to know if anybody besides me thinks it's neat, but but that's I think that's what's so interesting about this process is and so that's what I'm saying about Dagmar in particular, her expertise. She's really awesome at what she does. Number one, what she does is very unique. And sometimes when you do something that's very unique, it's hard to explain to people what you do because it's very unique.
Yeah. We looked at that. I think we did that live with her website. It's, again, people don't care how you accomplish something. They just want you to accomplish something. In this case, it might just be, you're removing, you're helping them make more money.
Yeah.
That's sad, but there's only a few things that people really want to do. And while you are not
time, energy, money,
in their pocket, you're removing roadblocks, right? You're giving them a pathway.
Right. And so it's actually interesting that you said that because funny, I heard an affiliation ad this morning with a major Dallas sports team that has aligned themselves with a weight loss center.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's really actually kind of a little bit of left-handed, but they did a brilliant job, I think. And that's what just clued me in here of saying, as the head trainer of this professional organization, philosophically, we align in that weight loss is far less about changing the foods and that stuff, what most people think it's about, and it's more about the mindset that you're fueling your body versus feeding your body, right? I mean, it's a conceptual difference. I mean, it's
okay.
So, but what that does is now it makes sense because now here's the trainer. Here's the trainer of a professional sports team that actually now the alignment with this location makes sense because it's more about mindset. If you want to be an optimal performer, food is part of it.
Yeah,
right?
No, definitely. And I definitely think that once you, there are certain times you just have to level up. Like there are some people, if you're just starting out on something, you're not going to take the nth degree, right? But if you're an optimal performer,
right,
there's only so much you can do in one section. You have to take it to another level each time.
Right.
So go ahead.
Well, no, but that's kind of where I was going to go with Dagmar. Dagmar's very unique and specialized in what you do. So when you say I've got a coaching program, okay, it's so far from what it really is. Which is some of the
like
things.
Saying you're a consultant.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. You're it's like saying you're an XYZ. Gosh, there's a lot of XYZs out there. And
right.
so you've got to align what you do and how you do it. And that's why, again, I think that's why she is now a member of the Business Growth Network. And I said, this is exactly, we're looking to build a group of really talented people that are there to serve really talented people. Let's level up the game for everybody.
Let's level the game. All right, so let me cover.
You've been just typing and copying and doing stuff.
I am. So I've got, I think, a good solid bottom foundation for a customer value journey for a coach. And it's really not specific to any one coach, but I did have Dagmar specifically in mind and what that really, how I'm kind of figuring she is. And she's got a little bit in place, but she's still on that level where she doesn't want to be spending money like on Google ads or Facebook ads to cold audience. She doesn't have like a lot of the supporting material. She doesn't have funnels in place. She's got a really, let's say, garbage web designer. And lots of people have charged her lots of money along the way and not really delivered on things that are actually helpful, right?
Right.
So on the awareness level, and again, this is people who don't know her, right? Or they don't know what she does, because that's another issue we have. Like, we can have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and they don't even know what we do for a living, which is crazy.
Like
I know
12 of them do.
12 of them do, right? In-person networking, again, I happen to know that lots of coaches do this and try this, and I think it has some effects. That, it's getting those first couple of clients might work. Now, this could be, sneaking at these small local events. I say small, we're in Dallas, right? So a room full of 35 people isn't chump change. Or what is it like? I spoke at the Plano Chamber. That was probably a good 60, 80 people.
Mm-hmm.
But in-person networking and actually meeting people, I know this was crazy, face-to-face. That's works, right? Trying to do it in as much as possible, right? You don't want it to be so limited. Cold invites to a free event. This could be, I've got cold LinkedIn outreach here. This could be at the networking event. This could be by email to people if you have and you know exactly who you want to work with, especially if we're talking like the process that we're building with like the Dream 100 clients. Email an existing audience. So you're making them aware of your offer, right? They might know you. They may have never bought from you. Maybe they did buy from you, but you are making them aware of what's going on now. And then also the Facebook group share, which is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow, and kind of what I did said worked so well on Friday, is taking those organic posts. So yes, organic posts get crappy views on Facebook, but they are promoting groups right now. And so the ability to share quality content to groups is a great way to gain awareness. And just to network inside of those groups, almost like an in-person networking, but in a Facebook group. Does that all make sense as far as awareness, or do you have anything to add?
Well, no, I think, you can always, how do you get your name and stuff out there? But I think that's a really solid foundation of doing things. Again, it all comes back to, let's go back foundationally. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. So any of those things that you're talking about there are at least in the know and potentially like category, right? They got to get to know you.
Right.
They got to get to know you exist. They got to get to know a little bit about maybe what you do. But the bottom line is all of those do a nice job of that. So I think that's a good foundational approach. Certainly.
I think I mean, you could definitely run ads, but I don't want people to spend a lot of ads running them to a funnel that's not proven at all.
Right.
Before they try some basic, free stuff.
Well, and that's,
the second one is,
yeah.
Go ahead.
And that, well, but again, I'm even thinking of our funnels as we're out there. We purposely, easy for me to say, we purposely put funnels out there to create an umbrella first. And now you fine tune it back. And so things are a step, they're a process. Right. And to a certain extent now, what I was just sharing with now going city specific and some things like that, to a certain extent, that's kind of an A/B test, right? It's is this the approach or is this the approach, or does this work in certain things and this work in certain things? So that's the fun of it, is now, okay, you got to create the funnel, you got to create the foundation, and then what do you do to get there, right? So I think from an awareness standpoint, that's a good start. Here's the point. If everybody was doing all 5 things that you have under aware, I think we continue this conversation and look for more things. The fact is, most of them aren't doing.
I should say this is a starter coach customer value journey, right?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, is the vast majority of people aren't doing, they're doing one of those 5 if they're doing any of them. And so until you can do all 5, then don't poo-poo the process. Do the process.
Well, and you are, a lot of the in-person networking, and I've told this to David so many times, like when I go to in-person networking, I have no idea what to say. I'm like, I don't care, because I know for the most part, you guys are not my clients, right? Especially when I was offering more high-end funnels, right?
Right.
And so what I would like to go out there and do is pitch something for 30 seconds or say it a certain way or test it out just to see how it bounces off their eyes and see if they're even interested.
Right.
Like what kind of things make people excited? What gets their attention, right? The second one is engage. The one thing I didn't actually put in here, and it's especially relevant to that, back to that in-person networking, is talk. Have a conversation.
What?
See those one-on-ones? I know, man. I'm getting crazy.
There's an A missing in conversation, but other than that.
Oh, there you go. Have a conversation. It would be really great if you could write one blog. And, if it's only 300 words when you start, that's fine. Next month, make it 800 words. Next month, make it 1,500 words. And just work on one spectacular blog post that you can put out there that's on your website, that people can talk about, that people can go see what you're writing about. Use it on LinkedIn. If you're not going to put it on a blog, definitely put it on a LinkedIn. If you are going to have it on a blog, have a shorter version on LinkedIn that links over to the full blog. Mm-hmm. Customer stories video. So here's something that I know Dagmar can specifically do that a coach just starting out cannot do, is actually go interview one of the people she's worked with, especially someone who is in that $700 a month category. What was their life like before, and what is it like now, and what were their biggest benefits? What did they get out of working with Dagmar? What if you could send that kind of thing out? Like, I know a lot of people, you could say, I know a lot of people struggle with this. Here's this girl that I know who was having those problems too, and now she's done with them. You don't even have to mention that you were the coach, right? But send that kind of information out there, right. Retarget it on Facebook, put a small budget behind that kind of video, especially if you can get a powerful one, which I think she can. And everyone's like, well, what if I don't have any customers yet? This is crazy. Work with one for free. Pick out somebody and coach them for free in return for that video. Not being dishonest. Tell them you want it to be absolutely honest, but just work for them for free. Come up with worksheets or a process or whatever while you're working with them. They're getting it for free. They're going to understand it's going to be bumpy. But you've got something to start with, right?
Right.
The next one is Facebook personal posts. So, you're not going to get a cold audience necessarily from your Facebook personal posts. I do recommend people make things public when they're posting. Obviously, if you don't feel comfortable, sharing certain images with your kids, make those for family and friends only. But a lot of your posts, make them public. Like, I'm not going to take a lot of people will say, befriend as many people as possible on Facebook, and that's a slightly old tactic. But making your stuff public so anybody can see it when they're researching you, that's easy peasy. Not your politics. Keep your politics alone. And then an explanation video. And I don't necessarily mean like an explainer video that's like one of these doodle videos or animated videos. Just something that directly to, here's your problem, why it's a problem, how do you solve it? So simple, especially when you are a consultant, when you are a coach, and that doesn't say anything about what you actually do or what problem you specifically solve or who you solve it for. Like, Dagmar predominantly works with business owners.
Mm-hmm.
So reaching out to consumers or people who are having problems with their marriage or all these other people, that's not her. So go ahead and just put it out there and say, tell people who you're looking for. Subscribe. So we actually want permission to have a conversation with them ongoing. This can be registering for a webinar. I know that was something she was interested in doing. Going ahead, discovery call. To some extent, she didn't want to do this. However, don't nix it until you've tried it. 20 minutes is not that long out of your day. Set aside like an hour to do, you could do 3 calls in that hour. If that puts people in your pipeline, it's amazing. And you've now gotten a one-on-one conversation with them. And then if you're going to go to networking events, have a one-pager you can trade for email addresses. Have something really valuable. And this is kind of the same as having a lead magnet if you want to dip into actual funnels. Put that lead magnet on a piece of paper, print it out, make it pretty, put your advertisement or your offer on the back, and take that to networking meetings.
Right.
That seems so simple, but you get permission, you get their information, and you still get to advertise your core offer on the back end. And if not your core offer, then advertise, that 20-minute meeting with you or a webinar that you have coming up, but put something on there and get some value. If you're going to go to all these in-person network meetings where you take, a minimum 2 to 3 hours out of your time, get some leverage out of it.
Agreed. I think that's what I've seen around town, because there's no shortage of meetings to attend. There is a shortage of true interaction and whatever. You might as well just go up to the Dairy Queen and have lunch with somebody.
Right.
Or the coffee shop or whatever, to a certain extent. That's, it's the same, unfortunately, the same people doing the same thing every time.
Yep.
That aren't, if you have a speaker or you have an educational piece to it, awesome, then really get into that and absorb the value that was presented in that. But if, I realized it a while ago. I was kind of like you. I was going to all these meetings, and all of a sudden I went, what the heck am I doing? I'm running all over town. Is this really where my target is, right?
Right.
And especially now that you have Zoom and Webinar Jam and Facebook Live and when you only had Skype, when you only had Skype, it was a different story. But now you've got so many video tools and so many different things online that, quite frankly, instead of going to a meeting here in Dallas, my target might be in Denver.
Yep.
And I'd rather attract the right target in the right place and then use the tools available.
Exactly.
It just kind of makes sense.
I don't think most people, that's one of the things I couldn't figure out. I remember Randy, he's talking about who he's looking for. And I'm like, dude, you're in the wrong room. Wrong room completely.
Yeah, and the other extension is, it's not necessarily who's always in the room, but it's who the people in the room have access to or know.
But still, wrong room. If you're looking for manufacturing,
that's the next level of wrong room. So, if they're not in the room, okay, that's a possibility. But do they have access to the people you're looking for? No. Then you're really in the wrong room. That's all I was trying to say. Is that next level of wrong room?
I see people come in there. I'm like, dude, there's no reason you should be in this room. Period. There's just not. But they come in there and they're hopeful, and I get it. It's easier to come into those rooms than it is to get inside the right room, because a lot of times the right rooms cost money. They know their room is valuable.
Yeah.
Agreed. But then we need to convert somebody. I'm going to kind of put on here, because I know in-person meeting, a one-on-one, I'm going to call it a meeting. But those are just to get to know each other, but that could be possible referrals, that could be possible people to attend your event, or y'all can come up with something, right? Especially in the event, Dagmar was looking at, as a member, being able to utilize our training space with 24 seats. Let's say you sell out at a full $200 price, you sell 10 seats, right?
Right.
You've cleared the full 2,000, not shabby, right? For 1 day, 4 hours work.
Right.
What do you do with the other 14 seats?
Yeah.
So I would either on the next time want to leverage and see if I go down to 147, will I get 20 people, right? Because I'd rather have 20 at 147 than 10 at 200, because that's 10 more people I get to upsell right on the monthly offer.
Right.
And I've made more money. I'm going to totally break out a calculator because I can't do math in my head. 147 times, oops, messed it up. 147 times 20. So instead of 2,000, well, yeah, that's definitely
2,800, 2,900.
There you go, 2,800. I'll let you do it. But you've now made more money just by taking it up.
I mean, you've got $800 more, but you've got double the prospects. You've got whatever. Well, again, remember I just said that we put our product out to create an umbrella. Mm-hmm. And what's the definition of the umbrella? A definition of an umbrella is it comes over the top that creates that well, in retail, manufactured suggested retail pricing, MSRP, right? It is. Now, how many people stick to MSRP? Well, or minimum advertised price, MAP. So there's a lot of things in retail that are, or a lot of things in selling that are, have MAP pricing to them. Publicly, you cannot show anything less than MAP. It's the minimum advertised price. Now, what happens once you walk in the store is a totally different thing, right? But there are still brands, and there are less of them today than there used to be, for sure, but by far. But there are some where it doesn't matter who you go to buy something from, it's the same price everywhere. That's pretty unusual these days, but there are a few things that carry that kind of brand feel to them, that they still have that ability. But again, the buying psychology is people want a deal, or they want to feel like they've done a good job in their shopping power.
Right.
So you should always start, whether it be, you call it MAP or MSRP or whatever, set that to be the impression. And then if you want to work off of that, fine, work off of that. But if, if everything is always $1, then the dollar is what the price is. If it's $10, it's $10. If it's $10 most of the time or some of the time, that you sell for $5 some of the time, that you go crazy and sell for $1 some of the time, but it's only some of the time, right?
Right.
You've got to create value. That's where scarcity comes in for the first 100 people that buy. In other words, you've got to tie that reduction to another qualifier to really make it work.
Oh yeah, and sometimes, I mean, look no further than a brick and mortar, because the brick and mortars that are still alive, they've been tested, right? They've made it. Right. They've made it through Amazon. They've made it through Walmart trying to replicate Amazon. All these online
Everybody
things, they are
replicate Amazon.
Right. But I went to go, like totally a little TMI, I went to go buy a bra at Victoria's Secrets. I needed one. I needed it that day. And I go to rush in, and I'm fully ready to pay at least probably full price. Like, I'll probably still meander to a sales rack, but I needed one that day. And then I realized after I walked in there, and the line wraps completely around the entire store, and they're merging on getting outside the store, is 2 times a year apparently they offer a major sale. It's well known. It's about 1 week after Christmas and then one in the summer. And that is why people will be on their list, just to know when that sale starts. And they will rush in there with a flood, clear out all the inventory that Victoria's Secret already needed to dump to bring in the new stuff for the new season. And that's fine. Do that. Like a digital marketer on Black Friday, they always will bring prices down. If they're going to TNC in February, there'll be some price drops on certain opportunities. Have some consistency and everyone will know. Yeah. Just don't make it 24/7 or people will never pay full price.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's kind of where a lot of this stuff is, it's fascinating to me. But if it's always offered at the low price, that is not now the low price, that is the price.
Right. And Macy's learned that the hard way. They were sued and they lost because Macy's will put out an ad, once a week or something and says, lowest price of the season, or, this is it's 70% off of retail, right? Well, they got in trouble because they said 70% off the, normal price, but the real, that was 70% off the MSRP from the manufacturer.
Right.
The normal price, it was not that. It was always around 50% off, and they just took a little bit off and were advertising it. So now Macy's actually has to put a byline on all their sales ad that says the lowest advertised price in the last 3 months.
Oh,
completely
that's interesting.
changes. I know, right?
Yeah.
Justice, the little girls' clothing boutique, they got in huge trouble for the exact same thing. The Federal Trade Commission and advertising policies do not. So if you say, like, I once sold it for $3,500, like this stuff that we're doing, I've once sold for $3,500 and still do occasionally. So I can say that because I have receipts that says I have. But you can't go around saying, oh, this is $20,000 offering if you've never actually done that. Say, I want test price here. But kind of going back to here in your foundation to convert them. So right here, this is webinar gets a little tricky. They're like, well, isn't a webinar giving up time? Showing up for a webinar is conversion.
Yes.
This is just subscription when they decide that they're going to attend your webinar. Actually showing up to the webinar, actually showing up to the meeting, actually showing up to the one-on-one meeting. Right. These are conversions.
Yep.
And then I have Facebook targeting down here because at the moment that they gave you their email address or a phone number or a Facebook Messenger where you agree to get messages from them, however you decide to do your subscription, you now have permission to message them. Get some Facebook ads retargeting at the lowest level. Even if your ads are not good or optimized, at this point, you're only retargeting, you're only putting $5 budget behind them, and you're only reminding people who already are on your list what's going on. Doesn't have to be hard. Exciting them needs to take some architecture. So whether that's a worksheet, an audit, whether you're giving them a physical premium for attending or book, just some kind of aha moment. where they both understand what you do and are excited. That's aha. You're both seeing, the part where, that excitement, that literal excitement, combined though with understanding what you do. So for her, it might actually be calling someone out. So I know she, how would you describe, you said an intuitive coach?
Yeah, she's a combination. She's highly intuitive. She's got a tremendous foundational business background from that side, but then she's highly intuitive. She's got intuitive gifts that very few people have. And so to take the foundational expertise with that high level of intuition and being able to energetically understand, she understands things, let's put it this way, she understands things most people don't understand.
That's fair. If she can actually find a way in those webinars, webinars are going to be a lot harder, but those one-on-one meetings, that's going to be like, that'll seal the deal right there. But you can't always
and that's kind of what it takes for her, because what she does is so unique. When you do have the opportunity to, and I'm just going to say what just came to me because I coach intuitively too, is when you drop your guard enough to believe that somebody can help you to this level, and you're sitting with her and she shares some of that intuition that comes to her at that time, you work with her. You'd be kind of silly not to, actually. And so that's why I'm a fan of her work. I'm a fan of what she does. And she can help a lot of people. And her biggest issue has been, how do I get my message out that I can serve a lot of people? Because a lot of people say they can serve a lot of people, right?
Yes.
We've got, so it's like, how do you get somebody that's so specialized and so has such a talented reach? How do you get that through the clutter? And that's what I kept on saying, which is why she became a member of the Business Growth Network. I said, do you understand? None of us are the norm. We're all we're really committed to serving our marketplaces. And I know while everybody goes, well, so am I. Okay, I get it. But there's a difference, there's a, and again, not trying to, how do you say it without, not trying to sound anything other than truly committed people working to do everything they can to serve the marketplaces the best they can.
Right.
When you get a group of people with a higher commitment level, good things happen.
This is true.
It's kind of where I was going with that, I guess. I'll stop there.
That's cool. That kind of covers Excite. And the only other thing I really kind of think to add to Excite, and it's not necessarily a part of Excite, but it's a critical part of the sales process, is ask for the sell.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems so simple, but you have to ask. And at least put it out there like, how can I help? Or here's everything. Now, how can I help you the most move forward?
Right.
Here are the other opportunities. I think this one would be best for you. Something that's closing that sell. As far as this, you cannot, I'm going to tell everybody right now, there's pretty much no way that you're going to go from a webinar even, or definitely meeting someone cold, straight into a 300 or 700 month engagement where every single month they're shelling out hundreds of dollars with you. Unless you have just dumped a ton of Excite on the market and a ton of engagement on the market in mass, right, and people know you, then these two are not just going to fall out of thin air. People don't just hand over their credit card for that much per month without knowing more about you and specifically how you can help them as a person. A 2-hour workshop is really, that's a completely different one. Like, if I'm being honest, I take it down to $197. The $3 per person is not going to. Okay. And then I would also say to test the price. I think, as I already had the word price on there, if you can get a solid 10 to 16 or 8 to 16, I think she said in a workshop at 200, what happens? Can you fill 24 seats at 147? Like, if you just lower it a little bit, will more people show up? If you have these workshops on a regular basis, let's say you do have 4 seats left over at the end of the day, invite those people who came before but didn't come on for your coaching program.
Right.
Yep. They get a refresher, you get a chance to pitch them again, and if nothing else, they're also feel more loved.
Yeah, well, the other side of it is they get to also share the fact that they have had, benefit from the event that they've already attended, right?
Absolutely.
So it becomes an endorser.
Exactly. I know. I'm trying to keep my voice from being gravelly. My voice from being gravelly like a horse. Moving them and finding a great way to move them into that 300 to 700. You obviously want to provide value in that 4-hour workshop that's significant, almost like overwhelming, like that they get some really critical wins while they're there. But you want to let them know too that this is an ongoing thing. Like, a lot of people have talked about motivation this way. Like, you cannot go to a motivation seminar. You're going to be super pumped up, max a week. Absolutely max 1 week. And then you're going to need another dose of motivation, right? Yep. The same thing is with coaching. Like, my sister was a great example. This girl never worked out. She was never in athletics. She had a coach come in like 4 times a week. And when someone's knocking on your door like a coach does, both physically and emotionally and in business, you can't say no. One of the things that people have a hard time with is actually picking up the phone and cold calling, right? And sometimes that's all a coach does. They will sit there and no, pick up the phone. Take the phone number, dial. Let's go. Yep. Let's clear 200 phone calls while we're, our time together. So get people from here to there, show them what you can actually do and explain to them. Michael Jordan, I read the book. I can't remember the name. It was Tim Glover, I believe. He wrote the book Relentless. He was Michael Jordan's basketball coach. So in addition to the team coaches, which every basketball team has a whole army of basketball coaches, he still had an outside coach just for him. He's Michael Jordan. Like, if anybody doesn't need basketball coaching, you would think it's Michael Jordan. But even Michael Jordan needs somebody standing in there yelling at him, telling what he needs to do, how he needs to get better, how his stance is a little bit awkward. And even that story right there, when you tell somebody, even Michael Jordan needs a basketball coach. Why
There's no doubt about it.
Like, have a clue. Work that out.
Yep. I mean, I've had 19 separate mentors that I've written checks to. So you've got to, if you want to get better at anything, you've got to put yourself in the environment where that can happen. No doubt about it.
I think Mike Archie did it pretty cool. Not only did he say how many coaches, like you just did there, he gave the total amount of spent on his coaches.
I can do
and
that.
It was I think it was in the 100,000s.
Oh yeah.
So then when he tells you, I'm asking for $2,000 for me to coach you,
right,
it kind of seems silly, right?
So
and then just go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so in a presentation I was doing in Washington, D.C., there were 2 SEC attorneys in the front row. And in my entire hour and 48-minute talk, afterwards, the only thing that they wanted verification of was in my talk, I said, and I spent $25,000 on this program to develop this knowledge set. And they came back and they said, your talk was totally clean. We want verification of that 25 grand.
Okay.
We want to see, right? And so what I did is I provided him, I said, you know what, you're right. It wasn't 25 grand. It was 62 grand. In that particular time frame that they wanted, it was $62,000
Wow.
in checks. So the point is, again, and I say it a lot when I present products or I do different things. I'm a product of the product. I can't sit there and tell you how to do what Jack Canfield teaches and what Jack Canfield has taught me, and not have been under his mentorship program for years. You know, you can't sit there and say, you know, I've done this and this and this with John Childers and not have compensated John significantly for the knowledge that I've gotten from him.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So that's the point, is coaches have coaches. Everybody has coaches. Athletes. I played for Coach Hayden Fry at the University of Iowa, the greatest college football coach on the planet. You know, it's amazing what those coaches will share with you. All you got to do is find the one that aligns with you. But
that's fair. No, and that's what you need. Like, you don't always need Jack Canfield, right? Sometimes you need somebody who's a little lower on his totem pole that has the time to hold your hand, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or combine it with another skill set, or combine it with like your specific industry.
Somebody that's working on them.
Yeah. This is a really big one that I don't see a lot of coaches doing, especially when they have these workshops. They're missing a huge opportunity by not having like an assistant, an intern, their friend, their mom, somebody come to the event, sit in the back, and have a space set up to record live video testimonial from that event.
Agreed.
While they're pumped, while they're excited, while they're motivated, get some video testimonial.
Yep.
It's so easy to get a $14 mic for your cell phone, put it up on a stand so it's still, clip it on them, and get some feedback.
Yep.
Get the feedback. If it's good, get the testimonial. And if you got good feedback from them, ask them to put it in an online review. You now have all sorts of social proof just from the one event. Even if you filled this event with nothing but people who paid $10, right? The amount of video testimonial you get becomes the critical proof you need to sell it at $200 the next time.
That is actually
$10. That's nothing in the room.
That is actually a process that John taught. Was, hold an event, just get your friends there. In exchange for the knowledge you're going to give them, ask for them, we're videotaping this, we're putting this together. I need active participants in an audience.
There you
go.
And then just finish up, finish up with what you're doing at the end. If you can't upsell them, ask them to, hey, if you can't afford our coaching, here's a way, like you can get some, $50 credit for everyone you put in our workshop.
Yep.
Give them a reason to refer you out actively. And this goes to the same people, like if they're not hiring you in-person networking group, have postcards that say, hey, here's exactly what I do. Here's exactly where people can go to get it. And if they say that you're the reason they're here, you get $50.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if it's not $50? What if it's $300? What if it's $800? There's a big sign outside of my apartment complex that says I get $500 for every person I refer. And that's probably saving them $1,500 off an official apartment referral service.
Yeah, easy.
And then constantly offer value, even to your existing customers, even to people who only showed up to your webinars, who only showed up to your one-on-one meetings. Those regular emails that go out once a week in your subscriber list, the Facebook Lives that you give, the additional engagement, the blog, offer value, value, value. And you're the only person that people know that does that.
Yep.
Who does coaching? Who does this? Who does that? Hey, I know this girl who does this. And you get tagged now on Facebook anytime they happen to see someone. They never bought anything. They could never have bought anything, but you help them with that free stuff. And so they refer you everywhere.
Yep. I like it.
I like it. I hope Dagmar likes it.
Yeah.
I just
you
realized.
Send me a copy of
that? Customer journey for new coach. Yeah, I've got to get a clean copy because I wrote on my clean one.
I mean, that's really
you know what?
It's a great piece.
Cancel.
Well, I mean, that's the strategy, and that's it makes sense, you know.
Yeah, just getting something done. Like as far as the actual funnel pages that you build for that, you know, whether it's a landing page for a webinar, which a lot of the webinar programs have landing pages built out for you. If you want to have your own landing pages where you can, I think most of them all pixel or have pixeling available for you. It's just the ability to keep them on your own page and making it look a little bit more professional, that kind of like white label embedding.
Right.
There's so many different ways to do webinars now, right? This right here, what we're doing now, can be a webinar. If I said the only way you're going to see it is to get an invite, it's going to be in a private group, so you got to be in the group, and I'm going to tell you when it's going to show up, then that's just how it's done, right?
Right.
So.
Well, that's what I'm saying is there are so many tools today that, again, I've got a company who's after me to do a variety of different things, but it at the very minimum would require getting on an airplane Friday morning or Thursday night, and maybe flying home Sunday night, and doing whatever, and in between. And I'm sitting there going, I can do the vast majority of that sitting here, without, at one time travel was glamorous and fun, and it's work. Travel is work these days. I mean, it's changed from the way it was, right? So with the tools that are here, it's not nearly as exciting to go, oh, I think I'm going to go see the inside of a hotel room for 4 days a week. Ugh.
Yep. Exactly.
For a guy who did 288 talks a year for 5.5 years, I can tell you, it's funny when you do it. It's just what you do, and then all of a sudden you stop doing it, and you go, "What?" But see, in those days we didn't have. I mean, it's not like those days. Like it sounds like, black and white.
Back in the 1920s.
I mean, I'm talking about, 2005 to 11. It's not like all that long ago, but the technological advancements are monsters since then. So anyway, it's just we can do this every day, right?
We can. So thank you for those joining. I hope Ms. Dagmar got some good feedback out of it, and we'll work on a landing page and getting some kind of lead magnet offer. I'll have to see what she already has, maybe that we can work from.
She's got a great PDF.
Does she?
Yeah.
We'll see what she's got there, getting her something done. And I know she wanted a Facebook ad, so we might actually build a live Facebook ad maybe Thursday or something like that. So if y'all like us to build your funnel, you can hop over to doublefunnel.tv and apply there. Absolutely free. We'll spend a whole week on it. The caveat is you have to be a business member and you have to have a Kyvio. So if you have any questions at all, drop them in the comments. Even when we're no longer live, we'll get to them. Promise.
Cool. Let's do it again tomorrow.
I know, right? Thanks for joining, Scott.
Okay. See ya. Have fun.
Bye, guys.